nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good evening and welcome to SA Soccer Roundtable. My name is Harry, joined by Rafa. We're actually probably going to have a split show on Wednesday with Royce will be back, and we'll probably do more SAFC and USL topics at that point. I'll probably touch base on a couple of the news items that popped through here today on the league aspect here. But we're, with the high school playoffs going on, by districts just completed. We've got the brackets of Rafa here. A lot of green, but some red. Rafa, how are we doing?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing well here. You got the mouse working over there?
Can you hear me? I think I have a little.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, now you can hear me. Okay. Sorry about the technical issues.
You need to get the mouse running a little bit quicker here.
It's been that kind of day.
It's been a day. Ended up doing a 10-hour work day. I know you mentioned you did. Royce was late getting out of work, so that's why we kind of pushed that back here. But so thoughts on just initial thoughts on the playoffs here. What's your initial thoughts so far that you've been able to see?
As far as, I'm surprised. There were some good surprises this past weekend. For the girls' side, the shocker was the Johnson girls knocking off. So it was one, going into the playoffs. That was a surprise. The Reagan boys falling to New Braunfels, that was another surprise. Reagan had kind of been a little hot streak, back from the kind of the early rough start, and I thought there would probably be like a dark horse going into this and getting knocked off of penalty kicks. I had a friend up there. He said that it was a pretty rough game. I think the heat also took some toll on some teams. There were a lot of cramps. So, but
I think
we
you
got some good, interesting matchups.
Reagan had the opportunity to win before it went to PKs, and unfortunately didn't take the opportunity or didn't get the opportunity to go in, and then unfortunately lost it in PKs there. I think on the men's side, I know this isn't a San Antonio team here, but Marcus going out because I know you and hold on, what's the guys from Houston? You and Lethal Enforcer Soccer both had Marcus going deep, and unfortunately they were kind of the big upset. And then there was a couple, in 4A, I want to say girls, I think it was 4A girls or boys that I think it was girls that got upset outside of the San Antonio marketplace here. But I think for me, you and I went and saw the Del Rio Stevens match at Gustafson. It was a interesting match. The first 20 minutes, you thought that Stevens was going to walk away with it, and then for the rest of the match, Del Rio just kind of took it to him. So unfortunately, Stevens Falcons ended up losing 5-2 after being up 2-0. and sitting next to you, like Stevens needs to get that third, and unfortunately, right before half, Del Rio was able to knock one in, and unfortunately, they carried that momentum the rest of the game.
Yeah, I was surprised about how Stevens, and I saw this with a couple of other teams too. They were basically happy to have a lead, and then just kind of drop back and play defense. I mean, if you're gonna drop back and play defense with a 2-0 lead, it's not gonna work in the playoffs. You got to play you got to make the team play the way you want to play it. And had they gotten that third goal, I think the result would have been a little bit different. I think Doria would have been kind of like a little more discouraged because they were shocked. When they got down 2-0, they were shocked. They were thought they were the favorite, and playing the third place team. You normally think, hey, we should beat these guys, but they came through. They made whatever adjustments they made, but now they have a perennial power from the Valley. But the last time they played them, it was a 7-0 drug. Same thing with Taft girls. They were a little shell shocked down. Went to that game. They were shell shocked down 1-0, but they roared. Another tactical mistake, playing nine defenders back, parking the bus, and kind of same thing what Canada was doing yesterday. But they finally broke through.
We don't talk about U23s here, man.
Yeah, so they broke through and carried them. The one thing when it comes to the playoffs and something you have to reiterate, you gotta know when gotta finish a team off. You cannot thinking with any lead is safe. You need to keep on doing what you need to do until they kind of wave the white flag. Then okay, we can kind of ease the gas. But hopefully maybe some of those teams will learn from that. And I'm sure some of these teams that did advance, they know that they have to keep the pedal on the gas all 80 minutes for the next to continue on.
All right, so I know Coach Kano from the 50-50 pod, said, "Show us your brackets." So let's show the brackets for that here. So this is 4A girls. Starts out regions 1 and 2 for that here. I think the big one that kind of sticks out to me was Maubake getting upset by Anna. But your other heavyweights seemed to like it, did okay with it. For that here, any thoughts on Maubake being upset? I know it's not. It's more West Texas, and I think North Texas. For these two regions here. But Dumas lost to Clinton Mountain View. Anna lost as far as for this section, and then coming down here, the other big one. In the top half of the bracket was Palestine losing, as well as Chapel Hill. That side of the bracket, didn't do as well. And then on the other side, Ranchville got the upset over Gainesville, and Castleberry got the upset over Decatur. But so to me, on the 4A girls, in Maubake and Palestine's, you had going far. Rest of the bracket, Pampa looks good. They even won earlier today to advance past the area finals. You had Terrell losing to Caddo Mills, so that kind of hurt there. But you got North Dallas versus Salina. That'll be coming up, and then Brownwood versus San Eli. And this one here, you got them all right: Argyle, Alvarado, Bridgeport, Life, Waxahachie, Livingston, Bullard, Kilgore, and Pleasant Grove. And then on the bottom of the bracket, I think Taylor went down with Fredericksburg pulling the upset. But the rest of the bracket looks good. You got Wimberley, Uvalde, and Rockport Fulton pulling through in the area. So if you were to kind of pick who's coming through here, you still have Wimberley coming through, or do you think Rockport Fulton or Fredericksburg can pull the upset?
Yeah, I think I'm going to see. I think Fredericksburg versus Wimberley. You know, they're in the same district, but I give it to me. But like I mentioned, it is hard to beat a team 3 times.
And then the bottom of the bracket, more down in the valley, you had Fur that got upset by Brazos Sport, who you had going to the regionals quarterfinals. And you had Grula going out to Santa Gertrudis, but like I said, here your heavyweights, Bay City, and then, like I said, here on the other side, London and Jubilee, still going with the Jubilee Brownsville, or pardon me, going with, London to come out of the bottom of the bracket here.
Yeah, I think the big thing down there, and I think London, they may have a good amount of club players on that team that and I think they should take care. Like I said, not a lot of the Valley players, especially from the 4A level play, competitive club play. So that could make a big difference. So I think London should go, but they're gonna get tested. So there's no gimme games in the once you get past the first round. Like I said, there's no gimme games after that.
So Bernie took care of Manor Tech, Lavernia, Canyon Lake, Pleasanton, all took care of that side there. Salado got through. LaGrange upset Navasota, and CHY took out your was that regional quarterfinalist Sealy for that here. But you'd predict Salado to go through. So I'm assuming Salado and Bernie are still the 2 heavyweights there for you.
Yeah, I think Bernie should take care of business with Lavernia. Canyon Lakes might have a little trouble with Pleasanton. I know the Pleasanton Curls in the past have had success. That's an interesting matchup. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Pleasanton pulls off an upset, but it's going to be a good game. But I also have, like I said, the Bernie girls favored to come out of the region.
You had an idea to go with Idea Quest versus Idea Academy. Unfortunately, the Toulouse Midway and Port Isabel had other thoughts, so they pulled the upset, going with Cal-Ann and La Feria. I'm assuming you still kind of favor Cal-Ann against either Port Isabel or Toulouse Midway, or you think it's a little bit closer now?
I still think it'll be Cal-Ann. I think winning that district, I think the level plays a little bit different from District 30. I could see Toulouse Midway knocking out so they could have their rematch for 34A with Cal-Allen and Toulouse Midway. So it'll be like an all Corpus quarterfinal. So I can see that coming out of that week.
So moving over to the boys for 4A. Stephenville, this one here, I think Williams Prep, you had Madison that was beating William Prep, and William Prep pulled it out. And you started out real strong. Pittsburgh got pulled the win against Bullard. Really not that many upsets, it seems like, on this side of the bracket until I want to say at the very bottom. You had Scarborough that was going all the way to the quarterfinals, but they lost to Stratford, for that here. But you still had Brazos Sport going through. Hidalgo looked very strong here, looking at the results here. Gorilla as well. I think that'll be an interesting match. And then in our side here, Bernie got the win over Eastside Memorial. Gonzalez got pulled out the win against Lavernia. Idea Monopolis I'm assuming probably upset Canyon Lake because you had Canyon Lake going fairly up to facing Bernie, and then Somerset upset Rockport Fulton. So And, I know this is 4A boys here, but thoughts on kind of in the area here, how it kind of shaped out.
Yeah, I was surprised Lavernia dropped that game, but kind of looking more into the Gonzalez. I think a lot of those kids of the Gonzalez play for. I think that the NPSL team that played in that league with I think with the Runners. So some of those kids might have played. So they're battle tested playing players up a lot higher in age group. So that game with Bernie could be a little interesting there. That could be a little trouble for them. But I'm still going to give the edge to Bernie on that game. It'll be close. Montopolis, like I said, I'm not too familiar with those idea schools. It's like a roll of the dice. Somerset, from San Antonio, I'm proud of it. They got through. I thought Rockport maybe would get through that one, but that's going to be a close one too as well. But I'll give the edge to Montopolis. I think
really?
They may pull that. I think they may pull something out. It's going to be, like I said, it can go either way, but I'm going to give the edge to Montopolis because they did win a district title. So you got to give the edge to, for a team that won the district. And then, some other places like us, I was surprised like in Region 1, there were some upsets there. I saw one for San Angelo Lakeview losing to Graham, which Graham really is not a soccer powerhouse. I was surprised about that. But like I said, Borger, I think they're going to take care of business. Mineral Rose was another shocker there. I thought Obega Staccato had a decent team to go through. So, like I said, it's pretty open. As far as with 4A, you can't really predict. Well, Alice is another one. I didn't think Alice, they got a 6-0 win. But I think they'll have the hands full with that idea of Riverview. I read some good comments on an article about them, going into this playoff season. So,
and then down at the bottom, Lumberton was the big miss that you missed, getting upset by Liberty for that here. And then, of course, down in the valley, you got the Battle of Far with the public schools here, Vanguard, Rembrandt, and Idea Far, both in Far, and then London versus Jubilee Brownsville for that here. So interesting matchups in 4A, for that here. I didn't see.
Yeah, that Vanguard Far game is actually going to be played at HEB Park.
Oh, nice.
Tomorrow. So hit Toyota Stadium. Maybe you should let some big notch games to play at your field. I think the crowd will like that.
Well, they are only allowing 3,200 in. So, and I think what I've heard was speaking with you and Chicano that down in the valley, you'd have to have probably a little bit more because it could down in the valley. HEB Park could probably fill out for that here. 5A boys, like I said here, no huge surprises. Looks like here at the top of the bracket. Then you come down to here, Mansville Summit. You lost. You had them in the regional semis, and White House was the big one that came out. On the other side of the bracket here, but when it came out, was it the Wichita Falls Rider getting upset by Birdville and Temple Tech beating Mansville Summit, last, I want to say Friday, Saturday night. Was. I know those were two big ones, and then especially the Mansville Summit along those lines here. Today, Paul Duro upset, according to you, Bellaire. Through there, so they're through to the regional quarterfinals over Bellaire, who you had going to the semis here, and then on the other side, obviously, pretty clean as far as a bracket for you. So, thoughts on Paul Duro today here? I know. Coach was talking to us about kind of the upset, throughout the afternoon here. But your thoughts on seeing Bellaire go down?
Yeah, that's a surprise. I mean, they're such a talented team. Like I said, they have a good history of being one of the top soccer high school programs in El Paso. But you got to give it a Paulo Duro. I mean, I think they went in with no fear, and I think beating Bellaire is going to give them a confidence booster. I think they got a match up with El Paso Bowie. I think I don't know if they
That's
beat.
how you're predicting, yeah.
That's predicting. So it could be. I still think it could be. I think it's going to be El Paso Bowie. That's going to be a good matchup, and I think Bowie may pull this one off. I think Bowie may not take him lightly. Maybe Bellaire took him lightly. So I'm sure that game will probably be in Lubbock again, unless they want to take a chance and flip home and home. Make them drive all the way down to El Paso. So, and then some other ones, I guess, back to the top with a man losing, getting knocked off. That's a shocker there.
You're talking
Magfield Legacy,
out there. You're talking about Highland Park.
Sorry. Yeah, Highland Park. Yeah, that I was shocked that Corsicana knocked him off. I was surprised about that. I didn't think Corsicana would pull through, but I guess the soccer gods were with him that night, but I still think Lufkin's gonna give
them all that they can handle. Rafa froze again. Let's take a look here. Come on, Rafa. You back, Rafa?
Yeah, but
okay. So moving to the bottom of the bracket here, 2A regions 3 and 4. Southwest beat Brackenridge. Eastview took out Alamo Heights, and if memory serves me, pretty convincing. Lanier, beat Medina Valley. Canyon Cedar Park beat Canyon. And then on the other side, Pflugerville got knocked out by Northeast early. Kingwood Park rolled, for that here. Down on the bottom here, Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial, who was one that you had going pretty far, got knocked out, as well as Valley View, which I think was the big upset down in the valley with West Laco East for that here. So thoughts on the bottom half of the bracket, starting with Alamo Heights and then talking about Valley View, because you had Valley View going all the way to the regional semis. Did you hear me, Rafa?
Come on.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Rafa? Sorry with technology here.
Okay, I think I'm back. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. So I was going through here. Alamo Heights lost to Eastview, and if memory serves me right, it wasn't that close. And then Valley View getting knocked out by Westlasco East, who you had going to the semis, and I think the other one, Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial, also being knocked out. Your thoughts? I think
Valley View won that. I think Valley View won that game.
Did they?
I think they won that game. I think they knocked off Westlaco East.
Hold on 1 second here. Because I thought this is boys, 5A boys.
Yeah, they knocked off Westlaco East 3-1. And they are playing Rio Grande City.
Okay, so I had that wrong here. So I'll get that corrected here. So that means these are still back in play. Sorry about that then.
No worries.
But second here. All right, so Valley View won, so that takes the sting out of that one here. But I guess Alamo Heights with them going down to Eastview.
Yeah, I did get some info about that game. They were actually down 4 starters that game because of injuries, and from what I was told, they just couldn't finish. They said they weren't really. They said they were. It was a competitive game. They just couldn't finish, and they said that I think Like I said, it'll be a good game with Southwest. Like I said, just Alamo Heights just kind of not having those key players did affect them. Surprised that Corpus Christi Ray won. Cherryland beating. Actually, Cherryland did beat Lopez. Actually got to see that game on a live stream.
Oh, did you?
And Lopez had that game won, and then on that second overtime, they were against the win, and Cherryland ended up putting 2 goals on them. So that game could have gone either way, because those are two teams that are powerhouses down there in the valley. So I think Cherryland should take care of business with Corpus Christi Ray. But I think once they run into Brownsville Porter, I think Porter should win that game.
And then on the other side, Galena Park, Lamar consolidated full share, which I believe is your friend.
My buddy's team, Coach Arturo.
So he came through. We'll see if he can get past Friendswood this week and see if he has be able to put your ranking to shame here. And then Leander. So we had this question here. By Family Nobad. How's the Edison Leander matchup looking?
That game, I don't know where that game's being held at. I'm not too sure if that's in San Antonio or in the Austin area. But I am gonna give the edge to Leander. I mean, they've had a good season, and they're going to play. Actually, they're playing at Lehman Stadium in Kyle, so they're meeting at a neutral site. I'll give the edge to Leander that game. I'm sure the Edison boys. I know some of the boys because someone did play for me for club. I think they'll give them a game. They're not going to surrender, so they'll fight through all 80 minutes. But I think, like I said, we'll give Leander the edge on that. And then Jefferson, Dripping Springs, that's going to be a tough one for Jefferson. Shout out to Coach Bart Valerio. He's the head coach at Jefferson. Former coach with me at Club America with Academy. He's done a great job there at Jefferson. But he does have a tall task for Dripping Springs. Dripping Springs has been on it. And so I said could end up seeing an Austin area quarterfinal.
And that Leander Edison will be at 6:00 tomorrow for that here, for that line here. So most of the games at the 5A boys, you got Foster Netherland that's playing tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But all the games in our region are going to be tomorrow evening between 6 and 7:30. It looks like here, so that should be some fun watch. And then, of course, the last game is Victoria East versus Porter, which you mentioned. Porter, is the strong there.
The one game I am interested in is that Southwest game, and Southwest has to travel to Georgetown. That's going to be a very tricky game up there.
Does that change it at all?
I think Eastview, like I said, confidence builder beating Heights. I mean, they're playing. Like I said, Southwest is going to their domain, and that's where the state championship. Actually, they're playing where the state championships played at. This could be a close game because I'm sure, like I said, they're going to have the fan support. I'm not saying the Southwest doesn't have it, but being over there, being basically like a home game for Eastview, they're going to have a little advantage on that. I still think Southwest finds a way, but don't be surprised if Eastview can knock them off in this game.
Is there any reason, and I'm assuming if you win your district, when and it, depends on home fields and availability.
Mhm.
But when you think that would should give them the advantage over somebody that Eastview was a runner up, so it's not it's not like they were the fourth place team. Do you think that the winner of the district should maybe have a little bit more of advantage in hosting, or is it just so hard because of the different regions? I know you and a lot of people have mentioned that the 28th district is not the strongest, and I think the 25th district is a much stronger district for that here. So is it unfair to give, let's say, and this is nothing in Southwest, but just the district overall winning that district isn't the same as winning, let's say, 25 as an example.
I think maybe they should do what they do for I know in football. I think they started doing rewarding the team that won district, a home playoff game. I think that should be done, but I know you also got to consider logistic wise. Especially out in West Texas, you're not gonna want. Well, we did see some games, like Midland had to go all the way to El Paso for a game, or some had to go to San Angelo for a game. I think maybe the higher seed should, have a little advantage as far as at least to say where they play. I know some they say, well, I have a home game, but I guess because of the distance, I think that comes to a factor. But if I was, for this game, I would have loved to play it maybe at a neutral site. Unless that team's really adamant about wanting to play home. Maybe that's the reason why maybe Eastview they took a chance, knowing that hey, we're playing a really tough team. We need to play these guys at home. So let's take a chance and let's flip home and home. And they won the coin toss, and so they got a home game. So
that's true.
So they had, like I said, they may be a good team at home, and they get with their crowd support. So I know, like I said, a lot of teams do want to play at usually a neutral site after this round, but like I said, it's sometimes you get lucky and you win the coin flip and you make a decision where you want to play that game.
So moving on to the ladies in the 5A side here. Coronado already won the regional quarterfinal this morning. This afternoon, I guess I said. Amarillo versus Paso Bellaire. In speaking with Coach during last week's show, he said that that's going to be a really good game. And then on the other side, pretty much your favorites advanced through.
Mm-hmm.
In the next section here, really no huge upsets. Birdville lost to Alito, but your favorites still advanced. Randall lost to Wiley, but really not as many upsets on this side of the bracket. Hallsville upset White House. Mount Pleasant got by Lufkin, but Timberview great by Highland Park. Midlothian all seem to have done well. The Alamo Heights ladies lost, so it was a tough weekend for Alamo Heights. The boys and the girls ended up losing for that to Cedar Park for the Southwest advanced. And then McAllen Memorial beat Portal, but you had Corpus Christi veterans. And then really, outside of Missions Veterans Memorial, who got upset by Flower Mound. Really not a lot of upsets in the 5A girls as far as the big heavyweights. I think Mission Veterans Memorial was the one that you had to go for this with Alamo Heights. So thoughts on the 5A girls? Seems like I won't say it's easy picking, but it seems like the stronger teams did definitely avoid the upsets for the most part.
Yeah, the next game, like I said, looking at that right there with Flower Bluff versus Cherryland, that should be a good game. I'm gonna give Flower Bluff the advantage on that one. I mean, you knock off a district champ, it's just gonna give you a lot of confidence. So I'm gonna give them the edge for that game. Then down there with Gregory Portland versus I think it was McAllen Rowe. I still think Gregory Portland's the class act for that bracket. So they should take care of business. So they have another maybe showdown with Flower Bluff, a district show in the third, I guess the third episode for them for a district showdown between those two teams. Surprise Kepner won. That's a surprise there. But they got to run into Friendswood, and Friendswood's got that pedigree each year. And then going back to the Alamo Heights game, they ran into a really tough Cedar Park. And like I said, that game could have gone either way. I think because the game was at home, we thought Alamo Heights would have a little advantage, and they just won by one, like 1-0 at the slightest. So going into the next game, Cedar Park and Southwest, I'm gonna give Cedar Park the edge on that one. I think
the one that stuck out to me was Harlandale. They had a 6-0 win over Brackenridge. For that here, and they get to face Dripping Springs kind of in their section there outside of Gregory Portland, beating Roma 7-0. They had the most convincing win there. So is it just who they were playing, or do you think that they have a shot against Dripping Springs who won 4 over Rouse? But just looking kind of obviously I didn't see the game, but looking at the results to beat the team 6-0, stood out to me.
I think, like I say, I think 28 5A girls is a little bit tougher the district than 27 5A. I think there's a little more stiffer competition there. But I still think, like I said, Dripping Springs are just on their own
different class.
They should have no problem. But there is one. I think there's one mistake I did see. The Floresville Jefferson game. Actually, Floresville knocked them off. I got word on that for the Floresville girls versus Jeff. And they were going to play the winner. Actually, they were playing tonight versus Burning Champion. Yeah. That was a shocker there. That was a big shock. I thought Jefferson, they had 20 wins this season. They went 16-0 in district play. I had no idea that they would have lost to Floresville. And that's another thing. That game was played in Floresville. And sometimes having that home game advantage, it just gives you an extra motivation to play better. Sometimes teams play better in front of their crowd. That must have happened there. So kudos to Floresville. But I know tonight they're playing Burning Champion right now. That's a tall task for them. They're actually playing them here in my backyard.
Yeah, they're playing right now, yeah.
Backyard there at Ferris. So I'm still gonna give Burning Champion the edge on that game. They should pull it out. They should have no problem pulling that game out.
Do you think this if Burning Champion gets by Floresville, do you think that opens it up, or do you think Cedar Park, winner of Cedar Park Southwest could give them a tough match?
That's gonna be a tough match too. I mean, that can go either way. It's just depending on where they're gonna play that game at as well. That's
all right. So moving to the 6A girls here. Second here, let's get back to the top of the bracket here. So Rockwall Heath went out, who had to go into the regional quarterfinals. Belton won, Lake Ridge won, Brandon Nelson won, Bell lost, which you had them going to the quarterfinals. But I think you mentioned Byron Nelson's the class of that side here. Bridgeland beat Klein Kane beat Bridgeland, and Hebron beat Allen. Wiley lost as a regional semifinalist, going out to Horn. Brian and Waxahachie. Waxahachie got the win there. Lingham Creek lost to Tomball. And then moving down to our area, Smithson Valley, you kind of touched on with the upset from Johnson. Westwood beat Westlake for that here. And, Vandergraaf beat, Austin Bowie. On the other side, you had Ridge Point and Cy-Fair, Seven Lakes and Cypress Creek. And then at the bottom of the bracket, Harlingen, Brennan, Bella, Taft all won. And Steele beat Madison, who you had predicted. Lake Travis, Round Rock beat Austin. Clark beat Clemens. Alexander, Los Resnos, O'Connor beat Nixon, and Donna North beat Juarez, Lincoln here. So on the 6A girls, kind of, talking in our area, it seemed like, went pretty much outside of the Smithson Valley match, went pretty much as expected. Are you there, Rafa? Or are you frozen again? Let's see here. Sorry, I seem to be having technical difficulties with Rafa and his internet this evening, so apologize about that here. Let's see if he can reconnect here again here. Let's see here. And Rafa may be having technical issues tonight. All right, and then we'll briefly touch on the 5A boys because I'm not sure if Rafa's going to be connecting back here. So Belton went out to Waxahachie, Rockwall Heath got the upset over Rowlett. Belton was the one that he had going forward. Keller Central in Coronado beat it. He had Friendship going through. Down in the bottom here, Scott's old high school, Coppell High, ended up losing to Prosper, who had going distance. Oak Ridge beat Allen. Eisenhower beat Conroe. No big surprises there. We touched on Marcus losing to Geyer. You back, Rafa?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. I was having technical issues. I did get an update from a score for Bernie Champion Flursville. It was the Champion girls were up 4-0.
So you can color them green.
Color them green.
But your thoughts on especially our area with the 5A girls and then the 6A girls. Your thoughts? I'm not sure when you dropped off. For that here, Smithson Valley was the big one that took a hit. But I think rest of especially on our side here, with the 4A, the Region 4, went pretty much as expected here outside of the Smithson Valley. I know Westwood beat Westlake, but even during the discussion, I think you thought that was kind of a coin flip, depending on which team showed up. But the bottom half of the bracket, I know you touched on Taft and Del Rio, where Del Rio had the early lead and set back and just let Taft, take control of the game from there. Steele and Madison, you mentioned was going to be a close game, flip of a coin. Steele ended up coming out on it. And then I think Alexander, got past Jay fairly easy. I think you mentioned O'Connor Nixon was a fairly close.
That was a 9-0 drubbing.
Oh, 9-0. So yeah, not very close. And then Donna North and Juarez Lincoln here. So thoughts on the 6A girls?
Well, the shocker was Johnson beating Smithson Valley in PKs, and remember we had Smithson Valley as our number one going in. They hadn't lost a game. I thought they were going to make a deep run, maybe like a showdown in the third round with Reagan. But those Johnson girls, like I said, that district, that 28 6A is just gets you battle tested, for playoffs. And, kudos to the Johnson players and staff. They got another tough one coming up with, I think, who are they facing? Westwood.
Westwood.
That could go either way. But I think Johnson could pull this off. So I'm I'm gonna go with the Johnson girls. I think they proved something last weekend, and I know they're not gonna take Westwood lightly, but I'm gonna give Johnson the edge on that game. And then some of the other games down below, that caught my eye. We have who do we have down there below? I think Steele Madison was a close one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, that could have gone, like I said, either way too as well. But now they have Lake Travis, and Lake Travis had a little trouble with McNeil. McNeil gave him a game.
4-1,
and yep. So anything can happen, and good luck to the Lady Steel Knights, and hopefully they can pull off the upset. But like I said, I'm still gonna go with the favorite, Lake Travis.
What about Clark Round Rock? Both of them had pretty convincing wins. Clark 8-0 over Clemens, and Round Rock 7-1 over Austin. So
yeah, Clark made a statement last weekend, last Friday. I didn't think they would put 8 goals on Clemens. That was a shocker there. That just be careful. I think that's another team they need to be careful with. They could be, like I said, they're going to be a dark horse. They do got another tough matchup. But I think the Clark girls can pull that game off against Round Rock. It's going to be a good game, but I think I have faith in the Clark girls. I think they can pull that off. I have Round Rock as a favorite. I think just that game itself, I think Round Rock's kind of a little nervous. It's like, hey, we could get up in the end of a blowout as well. So, Round Rock's the favorite, but hey, hopefully the Clark girls can pull off the upset.
moving to the boys for it here. Belton, you had kind of going to the regional quarters, as well as, I want to say it was Bell, or no, it was Friendship. Friendship that was going through. So you got Keller that's still advancing, Duncanville that's still going through. Scott School, Copple High, unfortunately lost to Prosper. But from my understanding, Prosper is a pretty decent school as well. And I think you mentioned that it was going to be close, but I know you had thought Copple would be able to sneak through for that here. This side here, no huge surprises. Klein Kane beat Cy
Springs.
Cy Springs beat Clyde Kane.
Well, the one that's the one right there, Marcus and Geyer.
Right.
That one, Marcus is a perennial state power pretty much every year. You always consider them making a run at state. I had no one expected a Denton Geyer to knock them off.
And it was a 1-0, 1-0 loss, for Marcus.
Yeah, but Geyer's got another tough one. I think Dallas Jesuit should take care of business, but it takes that one big game.
They went to shootout as well on that with theirs against
Arlington Bowie, yeah. But I think Dallas Jesuit will have a little advantage on that game. But Geyer, like I said, they're riding high. They could do another upset. They could be that Cinderella in that Region 1. So good luck to them tomorrow night.
Ridge Point lost to Tompkins. Then we're kind of getting to our side of the bracket here. Lee, Vandergrift, Clemens, Austin Bowie all held their own and advanced for there here. So sets up Lee versus Vandergrift rematch and Clemens versus Austin Bowie. Clemens beat Johnson 5-0. Lee beat Still 6-0. Vandergrift beat Westlake 2-1. And Bowie went to PK's 5-3 over, with Vista Ridge. So your thoughts on those two regional area games here for that here?
The big one is going to be that Lee Vandergrift game, man. I'm sure Lee's had their names circled around this whole time, hoping to get a rematch with them. And I think like I said, I think this time Lee's and this game's at Comalander at 8 o'clock. So if you have nothing to do tomorrow night, go to Comalander. There'll be actually the Reagan girls are actually going to play right before them. So you
Get a
got
doubleheader.
good double header. So you have nothing to do. Take out the kiddos and go watch some good high school soccer. You're going to see 2 premier programs. But tomorrow night, I think Lee gets its revenge. They knock off Vandergrift and go to the next round. And then Lee
Clemens
Bowie,
actually gets a home game against Austin Bowie as well.
yeah, and then looking kind of the schedule. Actually, this is also a rematch from a game that was played back on January the 15th, and actually Clemens knocked off Bowie 1-0 in Austin. So I'm sure the Bowie boys, like I said, are going to want some revenge, but they're going to have to make a travel down to Shirts, and I think, like I said, Clemens is playing it great. So it'll be a close game, but like I said, Clemens will pull this one out.
And then that could set up what I think
showdown.
Everybody in the city would like to see, Lee versus Clemens. I think they've been I know there's been 4 really good teams, but I think those 2 have been, kind of the top 2 for, especially the last half of the year. The bottom half of the bracket, Los Fresnos, Laredo Alexander took out Warren, which you had kind of going here. Juarez, and then Del Rio, as we talked about, knocked out Stevens for that here. And then
going back to that game with if there is a showdown between Clemens and Lee, if anybody from SAFC is listening, please have that game at Toyota. You need to have that game at Toyota Field. That's a state championship caliber game. So, I know they can make it happen, because you guys won't be in town on Friday. You'll be up in Dallas. So this game will be perfect to play on Friday night there at Toyota Field. But going back to the bottom bracket, yeah, because I was shocked that Warren lost to Alexander. I thought they would have I think they would have a good result, but they got blown out 5-1. I don't know what happened. Maybe sometimes things go wrong in a game, and they just couldn't push forward on that. So kudos to Alexander. I think going into Los Fresnos, I think Los Fresnos is probably going to have the advantage on that game. And then
Donna North seems like it gave Juarez Lincoln a game because it was 3-2, for there. And I know you picked, I think Juarez Lincoln, if it's not Lee, you've mentioned that they're the team to kind of watch, from down in the valley. Yeah,
that was a surprise there, but I mean, you got to give credit to Donna North. They weren't intimidated, and they played toe to toe with them. So they're, like I said, I'm sure the Juarez Lincolns were sweating that game away. I think they'll be refocused for tomorrow. They play Del Rio in Laredo. The last time they played was a couple years ago. Juarez Lincoln took care of them 7-0. Will I see another 7-0 game? Probably not, but I'm still going to give Lincoln Juarez the edge. I think those should take care of business and advance and face off against Los Fresnos, which would be a good game.
I think
for the quarterfinals.
Stevens started out strong, especially when they had the speed going against the back line. Like, you and I discussed that for Del Rio, they're pretty solid in the midfield. They're pretty solid up front. But when Stevens was able to get past them, the back line and goalkeeping, was a little suspect. You could kind of say here where, Del Rio got the job done. Don't get me wrong, and it was pretty convincing. But if they go, if Juarez Lincoln gets up, 2-0 over Del Rio, I don't think they sit back, or not make adjustments once Del Rio did, made their adjustments here. So that one I will find interesting here. I could see.
You need it. Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead, Eric.
I was going to say, I could see, Del Rio getting run out just for the fact, depending on how much speed that Juarez Lincoln has, because, Stevens, when they were able to get the ball up to the forwards with the speed, they were able to get behind and have a few one-on-ones, with the keeper.
Yeah, what they got away from was, especially that first goal, was that that pass on the outside of the defense, and then that's the weakness that Del Rio has. They're not very good defending on the outside on that flat back four, and that goalie is very suspect. I know I saw some streams of some games. He was not very good at set pieces. They were placing the balls right there, and he just couldn't stop those. But I think once they scored that, they needed that third goal to put this team away. But I think they got satisfied with 2 goals. They just sat back, and Del Rio you got to give Del Rio kudos. They took advantage of it. They got. I think once they got that first goal, that's
right before the half, when they got that changed the
dynamics of the game.
Dynamics of the game. So the bottom half, Lake Travis, Smithson Valley, Round Rock, all took care of business. I know you touched base on New Braunfels over Reagan already, for that here. And then down at the bottom, Laredo United took out O'Connor. Hannah Harlan had I want to say it was a tough match against Laredo United. They were actually much closer than, if memory serves me.
They were down. Yeah, they were down 2-0 with 17 minutes left, and I mentioned it on our Wednesday show. Not to fall. I mentioned don't fall asleep with United South. The few years ago they knocked off Juarez Lincoln. As a 4 seed. They thought Juarez Lincoln thought it was going to be a cakewalk. They ended up losing 3-0, and Harlan probably went in with the same attitude. And you can't underestimate here, especially 6A. You can't underestimate a 4 seed. That Laredo district is a good competitive district. I'm sure they're happy they got to pull off the win. Now they got another game coming up with Harlingen South. And I did see that game, the Harlingen South Edinburgh game. Harlingen South had to pull out a goal in the last few minutes to go to overtime, and they ended up winning the game in overtime 2-1. I was not very impressed with Harlingen South. I'm gonna be honest with that. It was a lot of kickball, trying to kick the ball and try to get behind. Harlan's gonna see that. If they can neutralize that, play the game on the ball on the ground, play a lot of touch possession, a lot of combo play, they'll be able to win this game. But it's gonna be tough games. I think a lot of the Harlingen South was depending on individual talent. I didn't see more than 2 or 3 passes connected, so it was just get up and go. So like I said, Harlan kind of their defense got to be aware of that. But I'm still going to give the edge to Harlan to win that game.
And that is going to be down in Corpus for for that matchup. So does that give a favor to any of them?
Not really. I know one thing of the factor down there is the wind. It's very windy in Corpus. I remember one year we went down there to go scout. When we were going to play Corpus Christi Carroll, I went to go scout them. It is very windy there. I think they're playing at Cabinets Field. So
yes, they are.
So that's going to be whoever has the win in the second half usually is going to take advantage of it. And some of the other teams have to bunker up to keep them from scoring. So, but you can't. Like I said, that bunkering up has not helped a few teams. So
it hasn't helped.
It didn't help Canada yesterday. So you got to learn from all that. So, but it was a very interesting week for all 3 divisions for the boys and girls high school soccer playoffs. Like I said, we got some great games. Some of them tonight. Most of them are going to be tomorrow, and then this weekend some other key games on Good Friday that I'm looking forward to.
So that's kind of it for the brackets here. We'll go through and I'll pay attention a little bit closer to it. It's kind of hard trying to piece it together from different sites because it hadn't updated in a timely manner on the sites here. But the final thoughts here for today here, just to me, I guess kind of the big news from San Antonio FC is that their Open Cup is over. SAFC was informed that it would no longer participate in the 2021 Open Cup due to U.S. Soccer's decision to further condense the number of rounds and teams competing. We respect U.S. Soccer's decision with health and safety as the continued priority, and we are always thrilled to play in the historic Open Cup and look forward to once again taking part in the future. Tim Holt, SAC Managing Director, and of course this was a tweet from the SAFC team, Preston and Luis, communication team, Preston and Luis. I'll say they put a much nicer statement out than I did. So without going on a rant, because I want to save this kind of for Wednesday, they were supposed to play the first round on the 4th. 2 weeks later, they're supposed to play the second round, which is where they're picking it up here. They're saying they can't play it because of COVID. But yet all the leagues are kicking off. Nice is going to have completed their preseason turning in Chattanooga. MLS will have been in play for 2-3 weeks. USL will have kicked off for the most part. SAFC's first game is May 1st, so they'll have played a game. League One, will have started. Actually, some teams will probably have 2 or 3 games because they start actually even before USL Championship. And then obviously the lower leagues, it was supposed to be 4 teams here. You can't tell me they wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't have been ready for that here. So I'm extremely disappointed. I think it's the easy cop out to say, hey, it's COVID related, because in 2 weeks, are you going to tell me that, hey, everything's going to be so much better in 2 weeks? It's not. So if they play, and I can't say that my initial thought was, hey, they're protecting MLS, but they're not protecting MLS because it was going to be the same teams that, the same amount of teams that would have faced MLS. I think it's just extremely disappointing that the teams that came through. So now how they're deciding the 8 MLS teams, I think, is open for another discussion with, I'll love to hear Royce's discussion. They're going to top 8 U.S.-based MLS clubs from 2001 regular season based on average standing points per game as of May 3rd, which is after 3 weeks of action. So if you have 10 teams that are undefeated, how are you gonna do that? USL went with the semifinal teams, which unfortunately we got knocked out of a handball. To where we didn't get to play El Paso to decide if we were going to be in the semifinals. So it's going to be El Paso, Phoenix, Louisville, and Tampa. So I don't have a problem with the teams that they selected. Division 3, NISA drops down to 1, which is just going to be Detroit City. Greenville Triumph, the USL 1 regular season champion, because they didn't have a final. I know Omaha is a little bit perturbed that they didn't get to play in the 2 open slots. Will go 2 open slots from 12, 25, or 25, 35, 36 teams. So from 36 teams down to 2 will be a lottery system for that here. So I feel bad about the open division slots, because of the stuff that, a lot of people don't realize. They started qualifying the year before in the fall to be able to make it into it. And so it's, to me, it's a shame. It's a black eye once again, especially coming off of the U23 U.S. men's national team loss to Honduras, which, I can't wait to discuss with Royce on that. Mexico did their job I think last I saw they were up 2-0 on Canada, and I was like, okay, I can move on for that here. So thoughts on the Open Cup or the U23s for that?
I wonder if U.S. Soccer Federation is watching this.
They probably have me blocked today, buddy.
To me, to do that to the for the U.S. Open Cup, is it really an Open Cup? Because it's not.
Well, it was already impacted.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not, for me, it's like if you're not gonna put everybody in, then why even have a cup? Why even have a cup? Let's just wait till next year. Simple as that. Or, you know what? Have a MLS Cup only cup and have a USL only cup. And then whoever wins out of that, they get automatic, berths for. We'll have their champion play our champion, or something. What they do in Mexico is they get the league champion from the first half of the season, and the second half play each other, and then the cup winners play against each other. They could do something like that. Have a 4-way.
I almost would love to see NISA and USL and the open divisions come together and create their own open cup, because the one with US Soccer with MLS, I know, the EFL FA Cup, it's slightly, the championship teams and EPL teams come in a little bit later, but it's not, they still have to go at 7-8 rounds, for here. I think they missed the first, I think it's 2-3 rounds, and then they come in and play, but it's a lot longer tournament. It's a random draw. It's not regionalized. And I know we're a lot bigger, for that here. So I understand maybe, having, the first round, but to me, when a professional teams in the United States come in, it should, at this point, we don't have that history to where they need to be out of it at this point here. Get off the TV. For that here to catch them on top of here. So, for that here. So, to me, like I said here, is just lower leagues. I wish they would get their act together and say, hey, we're going to do this our way. And MLS, you want to do it your way, fine. But
I honestly think USL should have their own cup.
I think USL will have their own cup, but I think for like an open cup, for it to be an open cup with like Champions League or some sort of playoff in spot, with the MLS, you got to have NISA, because they are a professional league, same as USL League 2, League 1. And I do think that you should give the opportunity, for like Laredo Heats, the team from Denton, Fort Worth, Vaqueros, the teams that put up Denton Diablos, that put up, historic, strong teams, Syntex Lobos, with David's teams up in Kyle, if they can, get qualified, or even the runners, the runners here, or, for that here, just, to be able to have them have the opportunity, I think would be ideal. And I know Nisa's working on something like that. And then the last topic that I have before we'll get out of here, USL released a statement on Charlotte Independence ownership. The United Soccer League announced today that the Charlotte Independents are in the process of selling the several ownership stakes in the team, including that of majority owner Dan D'Amico. The day-to-day management of the club, of which Mr. D'Amico and others are not directly involved, will continue to be overseen by President Managing Partner Phil McFinley. As such, the club remains fully committed to all its players, staff, community members as we move forward with the 2021 season here. So that's a huge deal, because if you've been paying attention to Charlotte, their owner has put out some interesting statements. We'll just leave it at that without getting political. Along those lines here, to where you had Independent Supporters Council for North America came out with a strong statement against the ownership group. And to me, when they come out with the full backing of all the supporters groups across the United States, it's something that they had to pay attention to. And I'm glad they finally took action for some people, probably not enough. For some people, probably too late. I just want to remind people, just be careful, because ownership groups at that level tend to think a lot alike like Dan. They just may not be as public and maybe not go as far. But there is a lot of right-leaning ownership, we'll just say, for that here. So just be careful what you wish for. This was kind of an extreme situation, like a Donald Sterling type thing with the Clippers a couple of years ago. But final thoughts for you? Any thoughts on USL kind of making a statement on the Charlotte situation? Because that has been something that's been brewing for about a year. That kind of popped up, for that here, and so they finally drew the line in the sand, and we'll be moving on from the previous ownership of that here. But your thoughts?
I'm sure the Charlotte fans are happy about that. I think they were kind of in the same situation. Like if you look at the WNBA with the Atlanta Dream, it was kind of the same, kind
very
of
similar.
the same,
Yes,
very similar. So, kudos to that change. They got to be more focused on the game and helping develop the talent. So for the, just kind of keep the politics away and so forth. And so hopefully the Charlotte fans get what they want, and the new ownership will lead them to a better direction, and hopefully become, like I say, have some successful seasons over there. Moving on. So kudos to them over there, and luckily we don't have that problem here. Like I said, I think we have a pretty good ownership. Sometimes they kind of pull our hairs a little bit.
Yes,
a little pull our hairs especially with announcements, player announcements. But hey, we can live with that. So maybe they have the same ownership, kind of like Detroit. Maybe the fans will own the team or something. So.
Then my final thought here. We had 2 players retire today. One from San Antonio FC, Hayden Partain. And then Mr. Manbun, Oklahoma City goalkeeper Cody Lorendi. We have gave Cody grief for many, many, many years, but he's always been so gracious, during the match and along those lines, and off the pitch, he's a class act. So, hats off to Hayden. Sorry it didn't work out like you're wanting to last year here with the COVID and then the injury. And Cody, like I said here, huge fan, even though we're frenemies where you play for the Energy, but with you and Diego retiring in the same year, there is a new gap of leadership that it'll be interesting to see who steps up and fills that through USL Championship, because 2 veteran goaltenders hanging up their gloves today. That's it for me, but what about for you, Rafa? What's your final thought?
My final thought is big game. Like I said, big games tomorrow, so hopefully I'll get out there and watch. It's going to be a classic, Lee versus Vandergrift. Good luck to the Vols. Well, good luck to all our San Antonio teams. Make us proud. Hopefully one of them will bring back the gold. Congratulations to Mexico. Great game. Going to the Olympics. You said USA. I don't know. I think they need to take tournaments a little more serious, but hopefully they'll bounce back from it. I'm sure they'll bounce back from it. But, I don't think they'll win the Gold Cup, but they'll bounce back from it. So
but
looking
even if
into
you
that,
win the Gold Cup, doesn't matter.
Just bragging rights. I think there was a point across. I think one of the comments was made by one of the Fox Sports or actually ESPN FC commentators. Tournaments should be taken seriously. And if you look at mentioned like that, last Olympic final, it was who was it? The Perennial Powers, Brazil and Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mexico won the Gold Cup in London. They knocked off Brazil. That was a big confidence booster. So I think those type of tournaments, not only it helps your teams because you are playing so tough competition, winning them, it's good. It's just good for pride. And it also helps, our players to get noticed a lot more. Because from that group, from those groups, I'm sure a lot of those players end up getting signed in big contracts at, right at the end of the, after the end of those seasons. And, I know the South American teams, they take Copa America serious. A lot of people don't know that Uruguay has the most Copa Americas than any other South American team. So you would think it would be Brazil or Argentina. That's not the case. Same thing with the Euro Cup. Teams. Look what it did for Portugal. It set them as a contender now. So these tournaments really are important, and it just showcases your talent, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully they. I mean, I don't know if you can how many times you can learn from this, but take it.
That's the thing, though, is how many times can you say we're learning from this before it's not you learning?
The only thing they're learning is getting a big paycheck, and for U.S. soccer, and that needs to end. They need to stop out thinking about making money and start winning. It's about winning championships, not making money. Until they change that attitude, things are not going. Things will remain the same. And I think that's all. I think that even trickles down to even the youth levels.
Mm-hmm.
More like with the club soccer and all that. The focus is more on paying to play instead of really, hey, let's get a kid from here. Let's go develop them and put them on our team. I think U.S. soccer needs to take a look in the mirror, really take a big look in the mirror, and I think change its attitude as far as, hey, we're here to win championships. We're not here to win. It's not about the money.
All right, well, we're going to wrap this up here. We're going to do another one on Wednesday. We'll probably touch base if we can get the scores in a timely manner as far as at least the local ones here. We'll see what we can find statewide. For the brackets to go over those real quick. Royce will be back on Wednesday. We'll talk the SAFC Dallas match. We'll talk a little bit starting 11. We have a new center back on loan from Vancouver, Jasser Kamiri. So there's still lots that we will be talking about here. But to end the show, as Scott always does and what we've done, what's life without goals? And I hope we'll see you guys here in a couple days.